All right, so I thought I'd try to do something a little bit different with showing you with what goes on with setting the gates, compressors, and based on some of the comments that I've received on a few of the videos over the past several years, that I'm not showing what I'm doing. And actually, it takes a lot of time to try to describe what I'm doing while we're sound checking for an event. And that's why a lot of times I just have to go to work and make sure that the line check is good for all the instruments. And I can't really slow things down to try to explain what I'm doing while I'm at a show. So I've got some drum tracks recorded, and I'm just going to be using one channel on this, and I'm going to have the kick on here, and then when the kick is done, probably a hi-hat, maybe a high tom, a floor tom on here, just to show you what, this is how we set stuff up. And like it is in a lot of the shows, we'll get stuff roughed in, and then as the band starts playing, we will make changes on stuff. It's just the way it is, and that's, as a sound provider, that's what you got to be doing. You got to be watching and especially listening to the differences and the changes, just to make sure that you can make any kind of corrections as they're playing. The recordings that I have of the drum sounds, like the kick, snare, hat, I believe all of these are digital representations of what the drums sound like. I don't believe any of these actually came from a actual drum kit where somebody's playing it and recording. So my apologies for the sound quality of it, but the stuff that we're going to be doing here is very generalized, and hopefully it'll give you a good idea of maybe where to start. And because there's no actual live situation going on, setting the gates, as I'm going to show you here, is just a place to start. You really can't set a gate unless you know how much noise is going on. All right, this is a hi-hat. The hat's closed, and we're looking at it. We probably don't need to do too much with it as far as an EQ. That hat, just like a lot of the cymbals, don't need a lot of EQing. They sound great by themselves. What we can do is apply a high-pass filter on this. This is how we keep the bass out of the unwanted bass out of the subs. Doesn't have to be too much. All right, and if anything, we'd probably want to set a gate on it. And it's like I've said before on the previous videos. I can't quite see that. There we go. We don't need to have the gate close all the way. And I'm picking around 24 dB to close. I probably do want the gate to open very quickly. A millisecond. And there we're closing the gate too quickly. I usually have the gate closing maybe 100, maybe 200 milliseconds. It allows for a natural decay of the sound to come through. All right. EQ, really nothing. Compression, probably say nothing on this sample here that I'm listening to. The gate, yeah, we do want some gating in to keep the other noise out. All right, let's go to the next one. All right, so this is the kick. So I'm not too sure what microphone or even kick drum is supposed to be emulating. It is a little bit more noisy, I think, than what an actual kick drum is, but maybe we can work with this. All right, so we're peaking probably negative 12 dB, which is perfectly fine for impact instruments. And let's see here. Let's go to the gate. It's a bit, here we go. Now this is a place to start, as I said here, with a gate, because we don't have any other outside noise to compare against. So something that gives a good solid, like that, good solid hit is what we're after. Because there's a natural decay of sound that's going to occur. So that sound will be propagated over the seating area. So we just want something that's going to be solid. Let's take a look at the, what's the high pass at? It shows it's about 35. All right, let's do that. Gate's fine. Compressor, let's see. I think, what are they using here for a compression ratio? Okay, I think for this example, a 2 to 1 compression ratio would be fine. But I think during a live performance, this would probably be up maybe at 3, depending upon the microphone that's used, how loud the kick drum is. We'll keep it at, we'll just keep it around 2 for this kind of session. All right. Let's turn that off. Let's turn the gate off. Let's go to the EQ. Now on the Presonus, probably like a lot of boards, we can look at an RTA and see what it's doing. All right. Now somewhere around the, let's see what we got here. Low mid. We always want to do subtractive EQ first before we ever add anything back in. So let's see if we can get rid of some of that boxiness sound. And from doing these, it's usually around 400 to 500 hertz maybe, but with this, whatever this recorded track is, and I don't know if it's an actual drum, it could be a digitized version of a drum that we're listening to. Maybe make it a little bit louder here for you. All right. Now I'm listening to the stuff on headphones, and hopefully we're both hearing the same thing. That sounds a bit better. The boxiness is gone. All right, let's try. Now, if we wanted to add something back in, we could probably go onto the low side, maybe around 60 hertz. Give it a bit more thump to it, if it needs to be. Of course, it depends on your speakers and what the kick drum sounds like and how much power you need to push. There we go. All right, let's turn on the compressor. All right, everything's on. Okay, we still got a good slap at it. Okay, this is without the gate compressor EQ. It sounds sort of airy. Let's add the gate compressor and EQ back into it. All right, this would probably be somewhere where I would start out with. All right, let's see what's next. All right, let's take a look at a floor tom. Actually, it sounds like it's got the right amount of ringing. I think it's in many floor toms. As you can tell, on my level meter here, it shows us peaking somewhere around -12, which is fine. It's said for percussive instruments. Peaking is much more accepted. All right, let's take a look at the high pass. Whoop, there we go. Sorry about that. All right, well, actually, let's go back and let's turn on our RTA, see where we're sitting at. It's probably about right. Shows about 160. It could be maybe a little bit higher than that. Maybe 170. All right. Let's take a look at the gate. Where are we at here? Let's see. Oh, boy. All right, you can tell there's no ringing now. It is the gate shuts it off pretty quickly. And I'm adjusting the release time. It went up to about a half a second of time. Right here. All right, let's bring it down to about a quarter of a second. And I'm okay with a little bit of natural decay like that. All right. See what the compressor is. All right, let's see here. I've got the gates turned off. Let's turn the gate on here for that. Let's go back to the compressor. Really, you can rough in a compressor settings on a tom, but it's good to have something there. But once they start playing, things start happening. It's when you need to get in there and start making adjustments. All right, that's probably fine for a compressor. Gate off. Let's turn the compressor off. Let's go to the EQ. So I'm not too sure how much more we can ask it. In the headphones, it sounds fine, but as I said before, it really depends on what speakers you're using, how loud things are. So we're making too many, trying to cut something out of there like that is altering how it sounds. We really don't want to alter the sound of it too much. So I think we may be okay on an EQ. All right, that may be it here with the tom. Got a little bit of gating, some compression on it. The EQ would just be left alone for now. here's a snare. Once again, we're picking up their -12. That's perfectly fine for a percussive instrument. All right, let's check our gate. Let's see here. Okay, the release is about 1/3 of a second, which I think is probably fine. Because if they're playing the snare quicker, we don't want the gate really to close in between when they're playing. So having a release time that's longer on a drum like the snare, this allows the gate to stay open while they're playing it. And then when they're done, the gate closes. As long as they can play something that it takes longer, shorter than 1/3 of a second. And of course, we could still adjust the release time. We're at 1/2 a second. So if they can play something, or if they are playing something that they're going to be hitting the drum in less than 1/2 a second each time, then that's fine. The gate needs to stay open while the drum is being played. All right, let's try without the gate. Okay. Sounds sort of airy. All right. Let's take a look at a compressor. All right, we'll do that. Let's take a look at the high pass on it. I mean, we can use the RTA to help us set a high pass. It's got to be within reason. So our high pass here is probably set around 240. Sort of lines up somewhere around where the big drop off is. All right. I'm not much into really EQing a snare. If I do anything at all, it'd be to make a correction. But in this, right now what I'm listening to, and this is not, it doesn't sound bad in my headphones, doesn't sound bad. But, it could sound a lot different in a live situation. So probably no EQ needed. We'll take the compressor and a gate on it. All right, well, I hope this helped out. What we did here was just a generalization of getting things started. Maybe you could sort of hear the slight differences. But again, the stuff that we were doing here is for a live sound situation only, not for a recording. But the gate, not to really to control how the hat sounds, but to control the background noise going into the hat. I probably have a release time set maybe 3/10 up to maybe 1/2 a second, because that would allow for the drummer, when they're playing the hat, more than a repetition, that the gate doesn't close in the middle of them playing. All right, it's probably where I would start with a hat. right, thanks for watching.